Welcome back to Decodiva, where we celebrate the beauty of vintage style, timeless treasures, and homes filled with personality. Today, we are exploring the wonderful world of flea market finds and discovering how ordinary secondhand pieces can become part of a beautifully curated, collected home. Whether you love antique furniture, weathered ceramics, old artwork, brass accessories, or charming objects with a mysterious past, vintage decorating is all about creating a space that feels personal rather than perfectly matched. The goal is not to make your home look like a museum or a showroom, but to tell a story through the pieces you choose. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to Decodiva for more vintage home decor inspiration, give this video a like if you enjoy collected interiors, and share your favorite flea market find in the comments below. Now, let's explore how to turn those hidden treasures into a home with warmth, character, and unmistakable vintage charm. One of the most exciting parts of vintage decorating begins long before you bring anything home. Flea markets, antique shops, estate sales, and thrift stores are full of unexpected possibilities, and learning to spot potential is the first step toward building a truly collected interior. Instead of searching only for one exact item, train your eye to notice interesting shapes, beautiful materials, unusual details, and signs of craftsmanship. An old wooden stool, a tarnished silver tray, a stack of faded books, or a forgotten ceramic vase may not seem extraordinary on its own, but together with the right pieces, it can become part of a meaningful composition. Give yourself permission to collect slowly. A curated home develops over time, and the most convincing vintage interiors often feel layered because they were not assembled in a single shopping trip. Allow your collection to grow naturally, choosing objects that genuinely capture your attention rather than buying simply to fill an empty space. A curated vintage home does not need to follow one historical period from beginning to end. In fact, mixing furniture and accessories from different decades can create a richer and more relaxed atmosphere, especially when the pieces share a common sense of color, material, or mood. Try pairing a traditional wooden cabinet with a mid-century chair, an ornate mirror, and a contemporary lamp. The contrast between old and new can make each piece more interesting, while the mixture of styles gives your home the feeling that it has evolved naturally over many years. The secret is to look for connections rather than perfect matches. Repeated tones, similar wood finishes, touches of brass, earthy ceramics, or a consistent palette can help very different pieces feel harmonious. Your home should feel collected with intention, where every object contributes to the overall story. Layering is one of the easiest ways to make a room feel warm, personal, and visually rich. Instead of placing every object separately with plenty of empty space around it, experiment with overlapping artwork, stacking books, and arranging smaller treasures in thoughtful groups. A mantle, console table, or bookshelf can become a miniature display of your personality. Lean a framed painting against the wall, place a smaller picture in front, add a vintage candle holder, and finish the arrangement with a small bowl, clock, or decorative object discovered at a flea market. Books are especially valuable for creating this collected feeling. Old hardcovers with worn covers, faded spines, and beautiful typography add instant texture and history. Stack them horizontally, stand them vertically, or use them to elevate a special object and create different levels throughout your display. One of the greatest lessons in vintage decorating is learning to appreciate imperfection. A scratched tabletop, slightly faded fabric, chipped paint, or tarnished metal can add a sense of authenticity that brand new furniture often cannot replicate. Of course, not every damaged item should remain untouched, and some pieces may need cleaning, repair, or restoration. But before trying to make everything look brand new, consider whether those marks and signs of age are actually part of the object's charm. Sometimes a little wear is exactly what makes a piece feel special. A collected home should feel comfortable enough to live in. When every surface is flawless and every object looks newly purchased, a room can begin to feel staged. Vintage pieces introduce texture, history, and a gentle sense of imperfection that makes the entire space feel more welcoming and relaxed. The most successful vintage interiors are not simply collections of beautiful objects. They are functional spaces where history and everyday life exist together. Your flea market finds should enhance your home while still allowing you to use and enjoy the rooms around them. consider giving old pieces new purposes. A vintage trunk can become a coffee table, an antique dresser can provide practical storage, and a collection of old baskets can organize blankets, magazines, or everyday essentials. When vintage finds have a useful role, they become part of your lifestyle rather than objects that simply sit on display. Balance is also important when styling a collected space. Not every corner needs to be filled, and not every shelf needs to display a large number of objects. Leave some breathing room between your favorite treasures so each piece has an opportunity to be noticed and appreciated. Creating a curated, collected home with flea market finds is ultimately about patience, curiosity, and personal expression. The most beautiful vintage interiors are not created by following every decorating rule, but by combining objects, memories, materials, and styles in a way that feels meaningful to you. So the next time you visit a flea market or antique shop, look beyond what an object is today and imagine what it could become in your home. A forgotten chair, an old frame, a weathered vase, or a stack of vintage books may be the very piece that adds another chapter to your decorating story. Thank you so much for spending time with us here at Decodiva. If you enjoyed these vintage decorating ideas, please subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, and let us know in the comments about your favorite flea market treasure. We cannot wait to see you in the next video for more timeless inspiration, beautiful finds, and charming ways to create a home that feels uniquely yours.